A cancer-stricken woman had not uttered a word for 3 days. Her family assembled, anticipating her final moments. Unexpectedly, she opened her eyes, sat up with a vigor she hadn't displayed in months, and began to impart deep spiritual insights that astonished the doctors and transformed her family forever. She spoke of visits from deceased loved ones, uncovered buried family truths, and offered advice that would later be validated over the years. 18 hours later, she departed this life peacefully, a smile gracing her lips. Edgar Cayce, the most well-documented psychic in America, understood precisely why this phenomenon occurs, even as countless others pass away without experiencing this enigmatic improvement. The archives of the Sleeping Prophet at the Association for Research and Enlightenment hold consistent insights regarding the factors that influence whether an individual will witness this mysterious enhancement before death. According to Cayce's established beliefs, it is not a matter of chance, medical intervention, or the specific illness one suffers from. Instead, it hinges on the soul's spiritual readiness and its connection to what he referred to as the universal consciousness. In the following minutes, you'll learn exactly what Edgar Cayce revealed about the reasons some individuals undergo this extraordinary improvement, while others do not. What spiritual elements influence who is granted this gift? And how can this understanding radically alter your perspective on spiritual growth during your present life? If you're eager to explore one of the most profound enigmas of death, as revealed through the insights of Edgar Cayce, hit the subscribe button and activate notifications, because these teachings will transform your understanding of consciousness, spiritual readiness, and the soul's everlasting journey. For over 40 years, Edgar Cayce consistently showcased his extraordinary accuracy in psychic readings concerning consciousness and the afterlife. Medical professionals recorded instances where his revelations were validated, while spiritual seekers affirmed his advice on soul evolution, and researchers examined his systematic methodology to explain why some souls undergo conscious transitions while others may not. Based on the teachings recorded by Cayce, the enhancement before passing takes place particularly in souls that have cultivated what he refers to as spiritual awareness throughout their earthly life. This concept is not tied to religious beliefs or participation in church activities. Rather, it pertains to the intentional evolution of the soul's link to divine consciousness and its comprehension of life's spiritual objectives. When this transformation happens, Cayce's readings indicate that the soul attains access to what he called the universal mind. This is reflected as a sudden clarity of thought, even in individuals who had previously been unaware or befuddled for several days. Family members frequently observe their loved ones suddenly recognizing individuals they haven't acknowledged in weeks or even months. They converse with a clarity that illness had stripped away and show a serene acceptance that starkly contrasts with earlier feelings of fear or anxiety. In line with Cayce's documented beliefs, these individuals often start discussing spiritual realms and departed family members as though they were physically present. This phenomenon isn't indicative of a delusion, but rather an expansion of consciousness that transcends the usual boundaries of physical awareness, allowing access to what Cayce referred to as the borderland between the physical and spiritual planes. However, before delving into what shapes this spiritual readiness, it's essential to grasp Cayce's core teaching about consciousness, which elucidates everything. As highlighted in the documented Cayce readings, each soul is born with the same potential for spiritual awareness. Yet not all souls cultivate this potential during their physical existence. The enhancement that occurs prior to death takes place in souls who have intentionally sought to deepen their spiritual awareness and maintain an active relationship with what Cayce referred to as the God force within. According to Cayce, those who undergo this experience often dedicate many years to practices such as prayer, meditation, service to others, and deliberate spiritual study. They have cultivated the ability to act from love instead of fear, to give rather than to receive, and to focus on spiritual insight rather than being consumed by material concerns. This preparation fosters what Cayce described as attunement to a higher consciousness, allowing these harmonious souls to access broader awareness more effortlessly during their physical transition, as they have been nurturing this connection throughout their earthly lives. Here's what Cayce uncovered regarding the reasons some souls experience growth before death, while others do not, as well as the specifics of how this growth is manifested. According to his recorded teachings, individuals who concentrate mainly on material issues, cling to earthly experiences, or resist spiritual development tend to face more challenging transitions. During their final days, they may feel disoriented, restless, or anxious, as they lack the spiritual groundwork required for a broader awareness. Conversely, those who strive to conquer selfishness, engage in acts of forgiveness, genuinely serve others with love, and maintain consistent spiritual connection exhibit remarkable transformations during their last moments. Cayce's readings illustrate that such souls often suddenly show what he referred to as soul consciousness, an enhanced awareness that goes beyond their former personal limitations. This soul consciousness presents itself in several documented ways, as per Cayce's teachings, and these souls frequently experience a surprising revival of mental abilities that had been impaired by illness. They often communicate with a clarity and insight that appears to surpass their usual level of education. Frequently, they exude a deep sense of peace and acceptance, providing comfort to family members rather than seeking it for themselves. Cayce explained that during this heightened state of awareness, individuals can access what he termed soul memory, which includes forgotten knowledge from their current life, as well as spiritual realizations regarding the meaning and purpose of existence, which they share with their loved ones. According to Cayce's philosophy, the enhancement observed before death is essentially a graduation ceremony for the soul. It signifies years of spiritual growth, culminating in the capacity to seamlessly navigate between physical and spiritual realms with awareness and grace. In just 3 minutes, I'll share insights from Cayce regarding how anyone can cultivate this spiritual readiness and explain why such preparation is essential for both life and death. The key distinction between souls that experience growth prior to passing and those that do not, according to Cayce, pertains to their spiritual vibration. His documented readings illustrate that our thoughts, feelings, and actions generate spiritual vibrations that can either resonate with higher consciousness or become ensnared in a lower material state. Souls that achieve heightened spiritual vibrations through dedicated spiritual practice over the years find it easier to connect with what Cayce referred to as the universal mind. This connection fosters the heightened awareness, deep peace, and exceptional clarity that define spiritual growth before death. Based on Cayce's teachings, souls that resonate at lower spiritual frequencies tend to concentrate on material achievements, personal satisfaction, or negative feelings, which makes it harder for them to reach these higher states of awareness. Their journey may be marked by confusion, fear, or lack of consciousness. However, this does not imply that such souls are condemned or adrift. Cayce emphasized that all souls progress in their spiritual journey through different dimensions. Nonetheless, the ability to transition consciously and peacefully with heightened awareness is a unique blessing that arises from spiritual preparation throughout their physical lives. However, There's an even more significant aspect to this that many fail to understand. The documented experiences of Cayce indicate that the enhancement observed just prior to death fulfills various spiritual functions beyond mere individual transformation. Souls undergoing this conscious growth frequently utilize their last moments to bestow spiritual blessings upon their family members left behind. As per Cayce's teachings, souls with advanced spiritual development, as they near death, often act as temporary conduits for elevated wisdom, healing energy, and prophetic revelations that aid their loved ones. They might convey deep spiritual insights, offer direction for impending challenges faced by their family, or deliver a sense of healing comfort that surpasses ordinary human abilities. This sheds light on why families witnessing these extraordinary changes frequently describe transformative spiritual experiences. They are not merely watching a loved one pass away. They are engaging in a direct spiritual exchange with a soul functioning in an elevated state of awareness. Cayce articulated that this occurrence serves as an illustration of what every soul can realize through adequate spiritual growth. The souls undergoing conscious transition are revealing the possibilities inherent in every individual who opts for spiritual advancement during their physical existence. According to Cayce's recorded spiritual teachings, here are the factors that influence whether someone will experience this enhancement. The key element is what Cayce referred to as spiritual ideals. Individuals who have lived in alignment with spiritual values and aim to be vessels of divine love, consistently prioritizing service above self-interest, cultivate the ability for conscious transition. Cayce emphasized that these spiritual ideals are not mere beliefs, but active principles that influence daily decisions, relationships, and reactions to life's obstacles. Those who have diligently practiced applying these ideals in real-life scenarios gain the spiritual resilience required for heightened awareness at the time of death. As per his teachings, individuals who strive to embody traits such as unconditional love, true forgiveness, compassionate service, and trust in higher wisdom establish the spiritual groundwork essential for a conscious transition into elevated dimensions. The enhancement observed prior to death signifies the culmination of years of spiritual decisions, resulting in the soul's capacity to navigate the transition between dimensions with awareness, elegance, and even the ability to bless others along the way. However, what is particularly striking about Cayce's insights on this subject is that, according to his documented readings, cultivating the spiritual qualities necessary for a conscious transition does not merely serve as a preparation for death. It is essential for experiencing an enriched awareness during one's physical existence. The same spiritual growth that facilitates improvement before death also fosters a more profound, meaningful, and spiritually guided earthly life. Cayce consistently emphasized that souls who cultivate spiritual alignment through practices like prayer, meditation, and service begin to tap into heightened consciousness in their everyday lives. They gain intuitive insights, show healing talents, and express love and wisdom that go beyond ordinary human boundaries. The occurrence of enhancement prior to death is truly the peak of a lifetime dedicated to nurturing these spiritual skills. It's not an arbitrary blessing bestowed out of the blue. Rather, it's the inevitable outcome of intentional spiritual progress. In line with Cayce's beliefs, every soul possesses the chance to cultivate this spiritual preparedness. The decision hinges on whether we prioritize our time in this life for material gain and self-indulgence, or for spiritual development and service to higher purposes. Cayce conveyed that individuals who initiate serious spiritual growth at any stage of their lifetime can still make considerable strides in their spiritual journey. there is always an opportunity to start engaging in prayer, meditation, helping others, and intentionally applying spiritual principles in everyday life. The progress made before death highlights the remarkable potential inherent in human consciousness when it resonates with spiritual truth and divine love. These individuals illustrate what is achievable when we live in accordance with our loftiest spiritual essence. Below, you will find Cayce's teachings regarding the specific spiritual practices that cultivate this readiness. Based on his recorded observations, engaging in daily meditation lays the groundwork for heightened awareness by enabling the soul to function beyond the confines of physical mental barriers. By practicing mediation consistently, souls access what Cayce referred to as the silence, a realm where divine guidance and universal insight can be experienced. For Cayce, prayer is not merely a request for worldly gains, but rather a means of fostering a purposeful connection with divine consciousness. Souls that cultivate authentic prayer relationships discover how to harmonize their intentions with spiritual objectives and receive continual spiritual support. Acts of service performed selflessly, with genuine love and without expecting personal rewards, nurture what Cayce described as soul qualities. These attributes cultivate the spiritual capability essential for heightened awareness during life's transitions, as well as at the moment of death. Cayce emphasized that exploring spiritual truths via scriptures, metaphysical insights, and personal spiritual experiences fosters the comprehension required to consciously traverse spiritual realms. Individuals in search of spiritual enlightenment gain the insight necessary for intentional evolution. Yet there is a deeper significance to this spiritual growth that transforms our perspective on our present life experience. Based on Cayce's recorded teachings, individuals who cultivate these spiritual traits not only have more peaceful deaths, but also benefit from ongoing spiritual guidance, healing powers, and heightened awareness throughout their time in the physical world. They transform into aware conduits for divine love and wisdom in the world. The enhancement encountered before death serves as a glimpse of the broadened consciousness that spiritually advanced souls can tap into throughout their usual incarnated existence. It's not merely about getting ready for death. It's about realizing spiritual potential while living. Cayce's beliefs demonstrate that each of us possesses the ability to achieve the heightened awareness, deep tranquility, and divine love that define these extraordinary concluding experiences. The real question lies in whether we will decide to cultivate these spiritual traits while we still have the chance of physical existence. As per the teachings of the sleeping prophets, each meditation session, every act of true service, the decision to forgive instead of harboring resentment, and each moment of heartfelt prayer all play a role in fostering the spiritual readiness necessary for conscious transitions and a more expanded experience of living. Souls that witness growth prior to death have devoted many years to their spiritual journey. They prioritize the expansion of consciousness, view divine service as their mission, and let spiritual love be their guiding principle. Their conscious transitions represent the natural culmination of a lifetime dedicated to cultivating spiritual awareness. What makes this even more relevant for those of us still embodied in physical form is Cayce's assertion that we are currently in an era of collective spiritual awakening, as more souls are opting for conscious spiritual growth. The occurrence of personal transformation prior to death is increasingly frequent, as more individuals commit to their spiritual advancement while in physical form. Based on his recorded predictions, humanity is progressing toward an enhanced spiritual awareness, where the abilities showcased in these extraordinary concluding experiences are becoming more attainable in everyday life. We are nearing an era where spiritual insight, healing skills, and divine guidance are seen as inherent human traits. Consequently, grasping the spiritual growth that facilitates improvement before death involves not merely getting ready for future physical transitions, but actively engaging in humanity's collective evolution towards elevated spiritual consciousness. Each individual who prioritizes spiritual growth above material pursuits, selflessness over egoism, and love instead of fear, plays a vital role in this collective awakening. Those who embody heightened awareness prior to death serve as trailblazers, illustrating the spiritual potential of humanity. The enigma behind why some individuals transform positively before passing is not truly puzzling when viewed through the lens of Edgar Cayce's documented spiritual teachings. It emerges as a natural progression of spiritual growth, intentional preparation, and the soul's readiness to move beyond physical confines into broader spiritual realms. According to Cayce's teachings, your present life offers a chance to cultivate the spiritual attributes that facilitate conscious transitions and enhanced awareness during incarnation. The decision lies with you. Concentrate on the gathering of material wealth and personal satisfaction, or commit to spiritual growth and serving higher purposes. Those souls who witness notable transformation before passing away illustrate the potential that arises when awareness aligns with spiritual truths and divine love. They reveal the latent abilities within your own spiritual journey at this moment. If the well-documented teachings of Edgar Cayce regarding spiritual growth and conscious transition speak to your heart and spirit, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Spread this inquiry to anyone interested in unraveling the mysteries of death and the spiritual possibilities of life. The spiritual legacy of the sleeping prophet continues to lead countless individuals towards a more conscious spiritual growth and a heightened awareness of their divine essence. His teachings provide reassurance regarding the significance of death and motivate you to live with a sense of spiritual purpose and a strong connection to the divine. The way you develop spiritually during this lifetime not only shapes your experience of death, but also influences the fullness of your life. The souls who evolve before passing serve as a reminder that the expansion of consciousness, divine love, and spiritual wisdom are your inherent rights and current opportunities for growth.